Welcome to the Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, and today is November 24th, 2016. Thanksgiving. Thanks for getting away from your family and spending a little bit of your day with me. I really do appreciate it. So today we've got a series of topics we're going to explore. Later on, once Craig joins me, we're going to talk about Richard Spencer, the guy now famous for making a fool of himself in public, and we'll leave it at that. You'll hear the rest later. We're also going to talk about the Dakota Access Pipeline, what's going on with the protesters there, how violent they're getting, and how it really mirrors some of the other protests we've seen with Black Lives Matter and other similar George Soros-funded, MoveOn.org funded groups. We're also going to talk about the power of Twitter, particularly Trump's Twitter. You know, he says it's powerful enough to make his enemies tell the truth. It's also powerful enough to make his allies back him up. And in this segment, I'm going to focus for a lot of the segment on what's going on with the Trump campaign and whether the Trump administration, I should say, and whether or not they're going to pursue a criminal case against Hillary Clinton. Because I think, big surprise here, right? The media is being just a little bit dishonest. Kellyanne Conway's been misquoted, and of course, the New York Times is not reliable at all. You can't trust those people. Don't buy their little apology letter. It was what we call in the business BS. But first, you know, I think I've made this speech before, but it's still going on, so I can't just ignore it. I'm really fed up with the pundit class, with these idiots, these talking heads. I don't care if I'm one of them. I'm fed up with you idiots. Because every single one of them says, you know, it was just really a shocking upset. I don't understand. Nobody thought Trump was going to win. Nobody saw this coming. How did Trump win when nobody saw it coming? Really? Nobody? Now, I'll admit, I'm pretty much a nobody here. If you're not in this DMA, you may not know who I am. However, other people are not nobodies. Sean Hannity, not a nobody. Scott Adams, the guy who did Dilbert, not a nobody. Stefan Molyneux, host of Free Domain Radio, the largest philosophy discussion on the planet, not a nobody. Mike Cernovich, great, phenomenal author, sells lots of books, writing new ones all the time, not a nobody. All these people called it. We called it. Bill Mitchell, the guy who was saying these polls are crooked. It's so obvious Trump is winning. You people are nuts if you don't think Trump is winning. Called it. So many people saw this coming. And when the media, when the talking heads, when these people, and I do use that term loosely, when these people say nobody saw it coming, totally unprecedented win for Trump, when they're still saying that 3 weeks into the President-elect Trump's administration's period of finding people, the cabinet selection, when they're still saying this 3 weeks after the election, it shows they are totally 100% divorced from reality. They never get outside of their little liberal bubbles in New York or LA. They never talk to us here in the real world. They don't know what it's like to be in the rest of America. They don't understand what the Midwest is like, what the South is like, what the Plain States are like. They don't get it, and they have no indication that they're trying to find out what it's like. I'm sick of it, and I hope you are too, because these people claim to understand you, and then they go right back around and they say, I guess we just missed this one. It's insulting to our intelligence. It's insulting to us as human beings. And it's about time for the media to do one of two things. Die, fade away, go the way of the dodo bird, and just leave us the hell alone. Or start figuring out what's going on in the rest of the country. Because I got news. There's more going on in the country than LA and New York City. Hard to believe, but true. So, moving on to what's going on with whether or not President-elect Donald Trump is going to pursue charges against Hillary Clinton. This is such a bad spin. So let's back it up to October 11th, 2016. And this is the media, right? You can't win no matter what you do. Trump's special prosecutor. Where do you think he could have come up with that lousy idea? This is the Wall Street Journal. They're now running ads on Fox trying to tell us how unbiased they are, how they were totally calling the election. Wall Street Journal, another fake news outlet. Donald Trump says he wants a special prosecutor to investigate Hillary Clinton if he becomes president. And our friends in the left are in arms. They're friends on the left. Banana Republic stuff, they cry. And we agree. Wall Street Journal agrees. But where were they when Barack Obama did the same? Pearl clutching of the finest, folks, let me tell you. So, but then we've got CNN. This is like a month later, less than a month later, a little over a month later, November 22nd, 2016. Trump flips, now opposes prosecution of Clinton. We got him. So it's a stupid idea when he wants to do it. It's lousy, it's Banana Republic, and then when allegedly he doesn't want to do it, well, he's going back on his promise. It was a good idea. Clee should have done it. Clinton deserved it. These people, again, the lying press will do anything and everything they can do to destroy this. It's hilarious if you step back and watch it from a neutral perspective. But these people are being fundamentally disingenuous because the president, I don't know where these guys have been because they were all saying this last month. The president does not try anybody in the court of law. That's not what the president does. That would literally be something a dictator does. That would be your president, your leader. This is something the Kim Jong-uns of the world would do. They would say, hey, get that person off the street, lock them in jail, and I'll be the judge. That's insane. That's never what Trump said he would do. What he said he would do is tell his attorney general, Jeff Sessions, by the way, love that guy. He would tell his attorney general to appoint a special prosecutor to examine the Clinton Foundation. So when you ask Trump, are you still going to prosecute Clinton? That was never the plan, you idiots. He's going to get the special prosecutor from the attorney general. Now, who is the attorney general, you might ask? Again, Jeff Sessions, the guy who has said previously, oh, if it were up to me, Hillary would be in jail. Jeff Sessions. And who else is Trump bringing into the administration, you might wonder? Well, Mike Pompeo, Kansas's own Mike Pompeo, to be head director of the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. Mike Pompeo is the guy who, one of the few guys who blew the whistle on the entire email fiasco. He's one of the reasons we know about these 33,000 emails, that is now 680,000 emails. Mike Pompeo is the one who asked, well, where do we have the documents proving that? And Hillary said, oh, it's that email I deleted. Folks, to believe the media that Trump is flip-flopping 55 days, 58 days before he's even in office, I know you're better than this. Really, I'm just ranting at the cohorts I have out there in LA and New York because they think you're stupid. They think I'm stupid. They think we're buying this load of nonsense that Trump is somehow flip-flopping, going back on his promises to drain the swamp when he's not even there yet, and his entire cabinet is full of people who specialize in draining swamps. All right, we'll be back after the break. I'm going to have Craig Chrysler here. We're going to discuss some of these other topics I've previewed. This is Tom Pappert for The Honest Media. I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope you're having a phenomenal Thanksgiving. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to The Honest Media, and I'm here with Greg Chrysler. We're going to talk about something that surely you've heard of it too. This guy is just stupid. I'm talking about Richard Spencer. You heard of Richard Spencer?
The
video.
Yeah.
And there's a couple theories on this guy. One is that he's an idiot, and our producer kind of thinks just he's an idiot. The other theory is he's an idiot white nationalist, but the other theory is he's controlled opposition.
I didn't get to do much background info checking into him, so I don't know.
Well, see, the guy is old school. You got to give it to him. He came up with the term. He was one of the people who came up with the term alt-right, and it's capital A-L-T hyphen capital R-I-G-H-T. And he came up with this like 15 or 20 years ago, so you got to give him credit for coining a term. But, and I've been making this argument, I've seen this argument repeatedly, and I think it's a good argument. You know, liberalism used to be like Jefferson.
Yeah.
And now liberalism is like Barack Obama. So
Bernie Sanders
is a liberal. So and Bernie Sanders really has more in common with Hitler than about any other politician who's run in the last 50 years.
They're both socialists.
They're both socialists. They both wanted free everything. They both wanted to constrict the Second Amendment. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Public works projects, controlled media, controlled schools. It all goes on and on and on and on and on. And so when I see this guy and people say, well, he was just toasting and saying hi. No. It just strikes me as odd, and I'm not the only one. Mike Cernovich, who's really become a rising star, points out that this guy, this Richard Spencer, The Atlantic, the newspaper, is doing a documentary about him.
Oh, are they?
The Atlantic, big mainstream newspaper. Now, keep in mind,
they're so big, I never heard of them till last week.
They are though. The print media is dead. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
But they are a big newspaper, and what they are doing is this documentary on this guy. That's where this came from. It's from a documentary. And that's the whole reason we know about this. He was in a room with cameras, a documentary, this ridiculous speech. Since when does the media talk to the alt-right? Mike Cernovich is banned on major news networks. Stefan Molyneux banned on major news networks. Alex Jones, anytime they have him on, it's just to make him look bad.
Yeah.
Paul Joseph Watson, same story. He's either banned or it's to make him look bad. The only reporter I've ever talked to in my life was for the New York Times, and as soon as he figured out I was pro-Trump, he basically just turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
They don't talk to you if you like Trump or if you're the alt-right. Unless you're Richard Spencer, then they make a documentary about you.
Yeah, you got to be way out there.
Yeah, and this guy, and in the next segment, or maybe later this segment, we'll talk about what he used to believe. I don't know what he believes now. Apparently, he wants to resurrect Hitler, but.
Well, they're still searching for him, according to the History Channel.
Be like 100. I know. I watched one of those. It'd be like 115 years old. He's out there. We're gonna find him. He shaved the mustache. I just know it.
Yeah.
But this is a couple. It was right after Steve Bannon, former chief of Breitbart, or I don't know if that's what he was at Breitbart. The guy who ran Trump's campaign there at the end. The guy who ran Trump's campaign.
Yeah.
Steve Bannon. When the media was calling him a racist, which everybody's a racist according to the media.
Yeah. If you're white.
If you're white, especially. Yeah. Or if you're black, you're an Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
But when the media was trying to frame Steve Bannon a racist and say Trump needs to find a new guy, they had Glenn Beck on CNN.
Mr. Cheeto Face.
Cheeto Face himself. Glenn Controlled Opposition Beck went on CNN. And he went on CNN and he talked about one article from Breitbart.com that was called An Establishment Conservative's Guide to the Alt-Right. And within this article, written by Milo Yiannopoulos, gay Jew, and another individual whose name is escaping me, who is from Pakistan, they wrote this article, and in this article, they reference Richard Spencer because he coined the term. And that's basically the beginning and end of it, that he coined the term. You can look it up on the internet, The Establishment's Guide to the Alt-Right. But Beck...
Now it's official. We're all Nazis.
That's right. Beck used this, and this just tells me that for Richard, and then the next week, Richard Spencer did what he did. But Beck used this tangential relationship. Steve Bannon runs Breitbart. Breitbart ran a story. That story referenced something. Therefore, Breitbart, Nazi, Steve Bannon, Nazi, Trump, Nazi. Totally dumb and fallacious. And, I mean, there's nothing reasonable and logical in this series of stupidity.
Yeah.
However, the next week, Richard Spencer goes out and says, "Heil Trump, heil our people," and they all do the Nazi salute. Yeah. You can't tell me this is a coincidence. It fits the establishment, the media's narrative too well.
Well, from what I've known for years, most of the Klan groups and skinhead groups in this country are actually ran by the FBI.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
No,
that's funny.
Totally serious.
Well, I don't doubt it. I would love to have a source for that.
FBI just to
discredit, right?
And then get people in trouble.
Well, it's kind of like when, God bless him.
This guy's probably ran by the CIA.
Well, and he has money. I was told by, and I can't give this guy's name out, but I was told by a source who has people who know the guy in his life well. And what he told me is Spencer's entire operation is based out of D.C., right? He lives in a mansion in Montana.
Oh, yeah.
How does this happen? The guy told me his family's connected, the guy has wealth, and not only that, I've been told that all the other establishment alt-right people, and we can talk about the two alt-rights that exist. Paul Joseph Watson had a really nice Facebook post where he said there's two alt-rights, and we can get into that next segment.
Harambe and Pepe.
Don't do that, because then we have to be Harambe, and Harambe is a dying meme. It's sad, but it's true. But it is too, that's the meme, coincidences, right? What is a racist? Somebody who examines coincidences.
Yeah.
And it's just too coincidental that this guy, who is being trotted out by Glenn Beck on CNN, the Communist News Network, to paint all Trump supporters, and especially Steve Bannon, anybody who reads Breitbart, is racist. The next week, he comes out and he's saying we have to preserve our people. Heil Trump, heil Trump. It's totally insane.
And I thought it was quite amusing, actually, because it's laughable.
It is. Yeah. It's so stupid. Like, could you imagine doing that seriously in public? And they were not doing it comically in my. Now,
no, they were having a good time.
Yes. Now, some of the tongue-in-cheek remarks he made during the speech, because I watched it, some of that was in good humor, but it's just poor taste, man. It's just stupid. How do you discredit your movement? Make everybody think you're Nazis.
Yeah.
That's that easy. That easy. Instead of focusing on actual issues.
Which they've been trying to say that for a year now.
Well, and that's one thing. I was a little more upset about this yesterday. But today I'm like, they've been saying we're Nazis for 18 months now.
Yeah.
This one idiot being an idiot.
Yeah.
It's not proof. I'm not wearing a black armband today just because of
Since
this guy.
Hillary was kissing the former Klansman.
Oh yeah, her mentor,
that makes her the Klan.
Who, when he died, they went and did nice, touching eulogies at her funeral. All right, we'll be right back. This is The Honest Media. The next segment, we'll talk about the divide or the dual alt-rights. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert here with Craig Chrysler, who is wearing possibly the very best t-shirt that he could be wearing to talk about this subject. Now, to be clear, this is the Templars cross.
Yes.
And you may not be able to see it, but on his sleeve is the American flag. God bless America. So, what the alt-right, Spencer's alt-right, Paul Joseph Watson had this beautiful Facebook post, except it's a little too oversimplified, where he says there are two alt-rights. There's the alt-right that cares about memes and anti-politically correct culture and all this stuff, and then there is the alt-right that sits around in the dark corners of the internet talking about race and the Jews and the final solution and all the and worshiping Hitler and all this stuff. But that's an oversimplification, right? Because there is the lighthearted alt-right that I think is what people would identify us with. And that is the wider alt-right, right? And then there is the people who coined the term. And the people who coined the term were specifically talking about a few things. They were talking about the fact that people of European ancestry, people of white ancestry, are a very small amount of the world population. And maybe it's not such a good idea to be bringing in people from the third world who populate faster than those people. They've been talking about the fact that the welfare state fundamentally destroys the people in the IQ range to have kids, because we have to sit here and subsidize idiots instead of actually spending the money on our own family. Sure. That's what Spencer used to talk about. Richard Spencer used to talk about before, Monday, whenever his video came out. Because there, and again, I'm still a little bit in the controlled opposition camp, because there's a big difference between saying, well, if you look at the facts and statistics, you can see a decline in the birth rate between 1935 and there's a difference between that and Heil. There's a big difference. So, I don't know. What do you think about this guy and the difference in what this is all snowballing into.
To me, it's really a non-issue because I just think he's a clown doing clown stuff. But, you know, the idiots are going to trump this up, shall I say, and make it a big deal. But, yeah, it's laughable to me, the whole video.
Yeah, it's like you know, we all joke about there's a lot of live action role playing LARPing that goes on in this movement because it's funny. You know, we're all fighting the meme war. It's funny. It's fun. And so somebody made a fake tweet of Trump tweeting, and it said, "Dopey Richard Spencer couldn't stop LARPing for even 5 minutes. Sad." Because it's
but there's two alt-rights. I think the alt-right that most of us belong to, and we do, are the libertarians who decided that or figured out that that's not exactly going to work right now, so we had to take it in a little bit different direction. It's libertarians mixed with a little bit of nationalist and paleo-conservative stuff. So
I think so too, and what really grinds my gears is you know, we are what gave the alt-right credibility. We're the reason why, and I'm not me, not Craig, but the people who think that way, the people who care about culture and that type of thing, economics, who care about nationalism, these people who aren't obsessed with what is essentially white identity politics, the people who are not obsessed with white identity politics, they're the people who made the alt-right. They're the reason why we're all in the news every damn day, right?
Yeah.
And
which this guy's argument is, well, I don't know.
Well, and then what they try to do, though, is they try to say, no, you're not the real alt-right. No true Scotsman doesn't spend all day talking about Jews. I mean, it's totally, that's what miffs me. It's not the fact that they're out there doing this even, as much as they're saying, no, you have to believe this or you're not one of us.
Yeah.
Because that's a load of BS. That makes no fundamental sense. So... and this is just like the perfect way for the establishment to say, you know, we have all these people who, because of Hillary Clinton, because of Twitter, because of memes, they're all calling themselves alt-right, and they're all using it as a symbol of pride. How do we discredit a group of people? Well, first we give them a name. Hillary Clinton and the ADL gave us a name. And then what do? They have to discredit the name. And that will discredit everybody who, whether they really supported the name, whether they knew how the name started 25 years ago, it discredits everybody at once.
The ADL, my favorite group.
That's right, in case you didn't know.
Awards to George Soros, who collaborated with the Nazis.
Who was it? Was it the Times? We'll pull this up next segment. But somebody said the alt-right is taking control, but they're afraid of one man, George Soros, to the rescue. I'm like, are you serious? This is where we're going right now. We're saying George Soros is a good guy.
Nazi collaborator who was proud to be part of the Nazi movement and
sold his family, his Jewish brethren, his Jewish members of his religion. He sold him into the Nazis.
And in return, got tons of Nazi gold, and that's why he's rich.
And he's still rich today. And now what's he do? He's organizing protests, which I have a theory, and we'll get into that maybe next segment or the segment after that.
Behind the hunting Hitler, trying to find his guy.
I'm gonna get more money. But I think I think he's behind the Dakota Access Pipeline, and I'll put my tinfoil on in between the segments here, but.
Probably.
I really do think he is. I think he's behind so much more than we know, and I think he's behind. I can't wait. It'll be 15 years from now before any of this will come out, but I can't wait till we have proof Richard Spencer is being paid off by somebody, because it just makes no sense.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're allowing, people say, well, at least he's moving the overtone window, right? At least now this is all going to have to be. No. Okay, I'm done talking about this cuck in a non-cuck's clothing.
Yeah.
But so for those, we're running low on time, I'm sure. So we'll talk about something fun for the last of this segment, because it is Thanksgiving. We should be having fun.
Yeah.
But so this meeting between Trump and the media, right?
Oh yeah, I read about that.
Oh, if I could have been a fly on the wall. And then the New York Times. This is a less big story because he didn't get to bash them so hard. The New York Times threw a hissy fit because they didn't want it to happen to them too.
Oh.
And the New York Times said, no, we got to be in there with you. We got to be in there with you. And we got to be able to record. We have to record because they didn't want Trump to sit them down and tell them how it is. Because by all accounts, that's what he did. He got all these head of the media, brought them in, and said, look, you got this all wrong. You lied the entire time. You did whatever you could to support Hillary Clinton. He didn't mention her by name, but he said basically Katie Turek, she lied, she got it all wrong, and just, he told them how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And now you've got...
ripped them. Called it a firing squad.
Right. an effing firing squad, a blanking firing squad. And the New York Times... They should have been a part of that. I wish they were a part of that. But the New York Times is really touting that they made Trump go on the record, as it should be. You can't go to dinner or have a meeting without cameras and audio recordings present.
Stupid.
My sincerest hope, we've defeated the establishment. We're on the road towards defeating the globalists. We've defeated the Democrats. The next step is the media. They're on the chopping block. They're next. They're going down. All right, we'll be back after the break. This is The Honest Media. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, here with Craig Chrysler. So last segment I told you I would undress my conspiracy theory that George Soros is behind the individuals in the Dakota Access Pipeline. And part of the reason I think this is because I don't understand why they're protesting. They say it's going to mess up their sacred lands, but if you look at the map, the pipe is like, boop, goes right around their protected, their reservation.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to me.
Isn't there already a pipeline there?
Well, it's all pretty much done.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's be honest about pipelines, folks. Would you rather have oil go across land and sea where you can get hit by a car and then there's an ecological disaster on land, or would you rather have it go pretty much underground? To me, it's an easy decision, right?
Yeah.
But it can break, and then but if you look at what's more likely to happen, and you're more likely to get in a horrible accident and have an oil slick fall into a river if you're not doing this safe pipe, it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. But they got violent. They started throwing things, and if you the police had to come in riot gear. They had to use a water cannon in 20-degree temperatures to get these people to get away from them. And there's video out there of, the media is trying to say, why are you here? What are you doing? What do you believe? Because that's what the media is supposed to do. And especially when it's something like the Dakota Access Pipeline, it's exactly the type of thing they want to trot out and have people talk about. But they're being told not to talk. They're being told by the organizers of these riots / protests not to talk to the media.
Well, this is one story I really haven't paid a lot of attention to, honestly, because I just don't care. But is it even on their land that they own?
No. It really is. If you look at the photo, I guess we can put it up. Well, we should probably be putting it up right now as I say this. It takes 5 minutes to put a graphic in. Yeah. But if you look, it kind of goes boop, 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 and there it goes right around their little territory.
So they have no claim to the land.
No, they just say it's their sacred land somehow.
Yeah.
And we got to be honest, Indian reservations are objectively horrible places to be. That doesn't mean you can just go say, well, we want that land too. No, doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way.
They lost. Sorry.
This is a joke I made. This is why nobody wants to admit they watch the show. But this is a joke I made way back when people were saying, well, you can't just build a wall and not accept refugees. They're just poor people trying to share their beliefs with us. I was like, well, the Native Americans. Or no, it's the argument that we're all immigrants. We're all immigrants. You can't prevent immigrants. We're all immigrants. I was like, yeah, okay, so the Europeans came over here and they killed everybody they met. Maybe they should have built a wall.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have done something to stop us. Maybe they should have had some background checks, some extreme vetting. Yeah. Are you a radical Christian who's going to give us smallpox blankets?
Yeah.
I mean, this is Thanksgiving too, man. We're getting yanked off. We're getting yanked off the air tomorrow. But Yeah, it doesn't affect their land. For their argument is that it's their sacred burial and ancient, mythical, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
I almost invoked a Hillary quote in the middle of that.
at this point, what difference does it make? But these people.
No, we came, we saw.
We came, we saw, he died. That was about Gaddafi. You know, that's when she started the refugee crisis, and she's pretty proud of it. But just listen to this. This is from the Washington Post. There are multiple fires being set by protesters on the bridge and in the area of the bridge. We have fire trucks on scene. They're using their fire hoses to put out fires, wet the lands around the fires so fires don't spread, and they're using water as crowd control. Why are these people so concerned with their sacred land starting fires on it? I don't get it. There is but so let's compare some of the consistencies between what we know. I have first-hand account of what it's like to deal with George Soros' paid protesters from when I was in St. Louis. Let's just think about the similarities. Rampant destruction of the land that is basically their home, right? George Soros pays African Americans to burn down their neighborhoods and call it Black Lives Matter. He won't talk to media. They won't. They have like one guy who will do all the talking to the media, and everybody else is supposed to shut up and keep their heads down.
Yeah.
Nobody understands why they're there. Why does Black Lives Matter protest in like Charlotte when you've got a black sheriff, a black mayor, a black governor, a black this, a black that? White people are a black cop who did the shoot. Nothing about this makes sense. And the other thing is, at one point, I was just watching the news, which I've only been doing because I got cable again, and it's like, I'm paying for it. But so I'm watching the news, and I see these guys saying, we're going to block this thing from happening. We're going to keep this exact thing. And then the news guy breaks away and says, but apparently they don't know. It was completed 2 weeks ago. So it's like even their stated goal of being there makes no sense because it's already been done.
Yeah. I haven't understood what they're there for the whole time. I mean, I get it. There could be a spill or something and that's a risk you take to have a civilization.
Well, and there's a couple ways to deliver oil. You can do it by a boat, and then you got to put it on a truck or a train, and you got to transport it that way.
Yep.
You can just do it all by truck. I mean, it's safer. It is statistically safer and better for the environment to put it in a pipeline like this. And cheaper.
Yeah.
And not only that, would these people, I mean, one of the reasons why I was so attracted to Trump originally is because in the year 2000, in his book, one of his books, I don't remember the name of it, it was about OPEC. He went on and on about OPEC, which is the oil producing, what is it? Criminals, yeah. And that's what he calls them. He called them out. It says it's a criminal cartel made up of representatives from governments in the Middle East who do not have our best interests in nature, who want us to be subservient to them. It's by controlling the price of oil. In order to have a national sovereignty, we can't be at these people's beck and call based on how they're going to price oil. It's not going to work. So, let's get some oil independence from OPEC. Why are they protesting this unless they're being paid by somebody who has a vested interest in OPEC having control of the oil?
True.
Again, this is my tinfoil segment, but these people are nuts. These people are totally nonsensical, nutty people who are out there getting hosed down with fire trucks because they can't be civil, and somehow we're all supposed to feel sorry for them. I don't see it.
I haven't cared for since the first day I saw it.
Well, and to be honest, anyone with a brain probably feels the way about most of these riots that happen, though I do have to
see everybody put it on Facebook like it's the biggest thing.
Do you really? See, I'm thinning out my normie Facebook and trying to stay away from it because it's too cancerous. These people are insufferable human beings. All right, we're going to take another break. We'll be right back on The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert. This is Craig Chrysler. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert, here with Craig Chrysler. So, good news. for those who hate the media as much as we do, even though we are the media, adweek.com has got the new ratings in for all the various cable networks. And CNN is pretty much down to third, which I say is just great. You've got let's just say 8 o'clock. Actually, no, 8 o'clock. You've got O'Reilly. They've got a 628. Fox News Channel has a 628. CNN has a 260. That's with the key 25 to 54 demographic, the people they want to reach. Fox is really doing exceptionally well considering who they are. And CNN, the people who are supposed to be the arbiters of everything mainstream, they're doing half of what Fox does. It's phenomenal. And then if you look at...
Does that represent viewers somehow?
Ratings numbers are confusing. Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
That operates on a bizarre point system that we could spend 3 segments trying to unpack.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just look at the difference. MSNBC, which is the liberal network. You're not watching MSNBC if you're not a crazy liberal. 255.
I watch it just to see complete nutcases.
Just to see what they're doing. I do occasionally like to see what Joe and Mika are doing, just because they're the most mentally unstable people in media.
Girlfriend Mika.
That's right. But so I mean, just it's this is the difference. This is a 5-point difference between CNN, which is supposed to be the mainstream cable news network everybody watches, and MSNBC, which is like the zany, what do we do next? I don't know, throw this against the wall, see if anybody watches it.
Yeah.
5-point difference, whereas Fox doubles their numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say what you want about Fox. I have my own, I don't care what Megyn Kelly does. I will never forgive her for being such a disgusting human being. She does have some of the lowest ratings, by the way, on Fox.
I'm hoping they kick her off of there soon.
I mean, let's talk about that for a second. You've got
There's actually a petition to get her...
Is there really? How good for her. There's Brett Baer, who gets 577. Again, I don't really, we can unpack these numbers, but just go with the numbers. Brett Baer, 577. Tucker Carlson, whose show is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Everybody should be watching Tucker.
Tucker, yeah. I was surprised they gave him his own show.
I know, he goes on InfoWars all the time, right?
Oh, he used to, yeah.
He used to.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson, 611. O'Reilly, 628. Kelly, 585. Hannity, 618. I mean, it's a big dip when Megyn comes on, because everybody, flip. That's what I do anyway.
The only thing I like about Fox News now is that they got Tucker Carlson and he has his own show.
Well, Sean Hannity's
He lets
good.
people have it. Sean Hannity does too, but
Yeah, Tucker's kind of like
he's
Sean
a
Hannity.
fresher look on things.
Which, he's got this vibe, right? Like, he's this young guy, fresh at it, who's giving it a new he's like 48.
Is he?
I know, and everybody looks at him and they just see, I like this guy. He reminds me of my goofy younger brother.
Yeah.
For like 48 years old. But I do like Tucker Carlson. He's a smart guy.
Well, he used to
He gets
commentate on there
misunderstood.
years ago, and I think they gave him the boot because of something he was telling too much truth, I think.
Well, a few years ago, Tucker Carlson gets a bad rap, and some of the people who are watching who don't like cable news, which, let's be honest, if you're watching this, you probably don't watch a lot of cable news. We're on over the air. But if look him up on YouTube. You look him up on Facebook. He's a good guy. And a few years ago, he said that the right needs more journalism like the New York Times, because even though the New York Times distorts everything they say, they're actually in the field doing investigative journalism. And he had a point. He had a point. It's changed dramatically since he did this. We have Breitbart now. We have others like Breitbart. We have so many others who are doing really phenomenal work. I mean, even I occasionally dip my toe into the investigative journalism thing, and man, is it hard.
Yeah.
But he had a point. If you're going to have conservative media, you have to have it at the same high standard as the liberal media, and Tucker's right.
Yeah.
But let's just be honest about this. O'Reilly's second airing at 11 p.m. Eastern does not that much worse than Megyn Kelly in her primetime spot. I mean,
Well, they're all going down from what they used to be just years ago.
well, that's just because their network is...
All mainstream media is. I mean, it came out, the other day. I don't know if it's new news, but InfoWars has a bigger reach than BBC.
Oh, really?
BBC International, the entire BBC. InfoWars gets more viewers and hits than the BBC,
Well,
which spends over $4 billion a year.
and taxpayer money.
Yeah.
In British taxpayer money,
Yeah.
but taxpayer money. Something I find it, and that's a good point because Roger Stone, who I met once, he's the former campaign manager, I believe is what his title was for Trump. He is one of the leading people who helped persuade Trump into running.
Yeah.
He still is on InfoWars, the radio show, the TV
He's on there
component.
once a week. He has his own podcast too, I think now.
He's got a radio show.
Oh, his own radio
Yeah, and
show.
he may have a podcast too, for all I know. But he's very, very out there with the InfoWars community. And he said before because he wanted to be an effective individual and he needed to know where he was going to have to go to have the greatest reach. So he had people do independent analysis of InfoWars and Breitbart and CNN, MSNBC, blah, 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 blah. And he found out that InfoWars, yes, they do have one of the highest reaches in the country.
Yeah. They're they're in the top 120 websites in the world now.
Oh, yeah.
That's
and,
insane.
And, of course, you have to... you got to wonder if there's not some manipulation in numbers happening there.
8 years ago, I tell people InfoWars and Alex Jones, they're like, man, that's all crazy, stupid stuff.
Well, it's Alex Jones's world. We're all just living in it. He's been proven right about every single thing. I joked about it before, and you told me, well, you already have the proof. I'm waiting until CNN. It's going to happen like next week, I swear, because they're going to be... Chemtrails proven true. Alex Jones right again. It's every single thing the guy says comes true. And I've said it for a solid month now. We need to stop using the term conspiracy theorist, conspiratorial. Just stop. Put a moratorium on the term conspiracy because they all keep getting proven right.
Yeah.
Media colludes with the DNC. We
I'm
now
just
have
waiting
proof.
on the lizard people to
The lizard people.
Hillary Clinton's skin suit to fall off and the...
Well, did you see her in that video a couple weeks ago? We're getting close.
Yeah, she looked bad.
She looked like she aged 40 years in 2 weeks.
She probably hasn't been to any of her satanic blood rituals lately to get the fresh blood of children.
There's that great comic, and somebody also made kind of a meme out of it, is... it's a conversation between Hillary Clinton and Satan. And Hillary Clinton is saying, "You said I'd be president!" And Satan is saying, "You said you had a soul."
Yeah.
That's about where I think she's at right now.
Yeah.
There's that other her hope and innocence gone. It's Hillary Clinton. No, she hadn't had any of that for a long time. Okay, we've got to take another break. We'll be right back for our final segment right here on The Honest Media. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert here with Craig Chrysler, and there's a Trump quote that is truly becoming just truer and truer every day, and it is from the 17th of October, 2012. My Twitter has become so powerful, I can make my enemies tell the truth. And that's not the only thing. Trump's Twitter has become so powerful, he can make people join his cabinet. You heard about this? He said on the 22nd of November of this year, I am seriously considering Dr. Ben Carson as the head of HUD, that's Housing and Urban Development. I've gotten to know him well. He's a greatly talented person who loves people. The very next day, Ben Carson writes on Facebook, winning the presidential election was only the first step for those who love traditional America and do not wish to fundamentally change it. Now the hard work begins of restoring the values that made us great. We must bring back the compassion and the unity that empowers us and banish the divisiveness that weakens us. After serious discussions with the Trump transition team, I feel that I can make a significant contribution, particularly to making our inner cities great for everyone. We have much work to do in strengthening every aspect of our nation and ensuring that both our physical infrastructure and our spiritual infrastructure is solid. An announcement is forthcoming in my role to helping make America great again. He literally made Ben Carson, because previously, everybody will remember this. He said he didn't want to do it. He said that you can be just as powerful of an advocate from outside government, which is fair. You would joke, well, I always said I didn't even want to run for president.
Awesome. I really like Ben Carson.
I do too.
I have the whole time.
I liked him right as much as Trump, except he's got some kind of weird, the grain pyramids. Are you familiar with that story?
I think anybody knows what them things are for still.
For those who don't know, it's just an anecdote in a speech. You know, he likes telling stories. It's Ben Carson. That's what he does. He's Dr. Carson. He was telling a joke, or not a joke. It was an anecdote about how, you know, there's so much mystery in the world.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the ancient pyramids. It is entirely possible that during ancient times, biblical times, not ancient times, biblical times, you know, we had different seasons. And so you would need and during the long, dark, cold winters and floods, you would need to store grain.
Yeah.
I'm doing my sleepy bin here. And so you would put them in pyramids.
That could be
Yes, the great pyramids of Egypt store pyramids.
One of the biggest grain harvesters back in that time period.
I don't buy it. I'm never going to buy it. I'm never going to buy it. He has some other funny things too
Brain
that
surgeon,
I just can't think
it.
right. He knows what he's talking about. I loved that pitch. He was just like the most woke candidate we had. If Trump wasn't in it, I would be shilling for Ben the day and night because these hands heal. It's the best. I love Ben Carson. But and then of course Lion Ted had to go.
I think he'll do a great job. Obama did absolutely nothing for the urban community.
Oh no, he made it much worse
than Bush did.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Bush did anything.
Bush.
At least he made mosquito blankets.
Well, no, I mean, let's be honest. The last 60, when was Lyndon B. Johnson in again? I mean, decades and decades and decades of destroying the inner cities. Ben Carson is going to do more for the inner cities in 8 years, because let's be honest here, it's going to be 8 years, than anybody has done in decades and decades and decades. So that's a fun story. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. We've got a couple more less fun stories, though. From the New York Times, Facebook said to create censorship tool to get back into China. China. Doesn't that explain it all? Because
did China totally shut Facebook down?
Well,
I thought they had a really censored version already.
Because
didn't Zuckerberg himself go there to help design the internet security or the censorship for China?
Well, and that's kind of what this is about, because what Zuckerberg did is he came up with formulas with, I don't know what you call it, with an algorithm. That's my favorite word for this stuff. They've broken the algorithm! Yeah. But he's come up with an algorithm that can be used to target specific demographic areas, specific geographic areas, I should say, to keep Facebook posts from them. So if you write Tiananmen Square, I guess that doesn't appear in China.
Yeah.
And you can have it. You can't have it both ways, Zuckman. You can't say that you are a beacon of free speech and understanding and sharing ideas and connecting people from across the world, and then say, unless you're in China, then we're going to give you your little safe space.
Yeah. Well, they're doing that here too.
I was just going to say, I mean, you can't say the F word, which is meant to denote gay people, even though Milo Yiannopoulos calls his tour the Dangerous F Word Tour. But you can say the F word that if I said it right now, I would have to bleep. Yeah. It makes no sense on Facebook. It's arbitrary. It's insane.
Twitter's purging.
Oh, Twitter is the worst.
Alt-right people.
You know, let's make a plug for it while we're here, because there's a new thing. Is it Gab? I know it's called Gab, but I believe it's Gab.ai. Gab.ai. And Gab.ai. And this is the new Twitter, the new Facebook. It's going to come in. It's taking people by storm. Right now, you have to sign up for a list, and there's a big waiting list to get in. And if you know somebody, they can move you to the top of that list. But there's a big list to get in, and it's hundreds of thousands of people strong, because people are sick of being censored and banned and suppressed just for their political ideas on Facebook, Twitter, and anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
that's a joke.
It's beyond a joke at this point.
MySpace was better.
They didn't censor those bulletins, man. They just came in.
Yeah,
really
get
good.
away with anything.
But you can't have it both ways. And Jack Dorsey, Twitter is the same exact way. Oh, free speech. Oh, understanding the whole world's going to come together on our platform. Revolutions are going to use Twitter to get out the word. That was their whole thing with the Arab Spring. But then they're owned by Saudi Arabia. And their entire shtick, we've seen what the Saudi Arabians have to say about Trump. I mean,
No, Saudis are just wonderful people.
Oh, wonderful, fantastic people. So long as you're not a Christian, gay, a woman, want to drive a car, the list goes on and on and on. Anybody who's not a Saudi Arabian. And that's something I meant to talk about with Richard Spencer at the front of the show. Oh, well. didn't get to. Well, let's break it in. Okay, a final defense of Richard Spencer in our last minute. This is not defending this. There is no defending this. We were joking. Even if he'd done this, it would have been better. There is no defense of that. There's no defense of Hitler worship in the current year. I'm sorry. John Oliver's right on one thing, and that's it. But so he talks about white folk, right? And that white folk, maybe it's not the best idea for multiculturalism. And people say, that's racist. You can't say that. You can't say that white people should have their own ethnically centric country, ethnocentric, ethno-nationalism, whatever you want to call it. Well, what about Saudi Arabia? They do.
Yeah.
Try going to Saudi Arabia as a white Christian. Not going to happen.
No, not going to happen.
Japan, one of the most ethnically homogenous nations on the planet. Nobody's saying that's bad.
Yeah.
Iceland. It is an ethnocentric nationalistic state. It's like 99, because nobody can speak the dang language.
Yeah.
I know somebody who lives there. He's lucky they all speak English. But the list goes on and on and on.
You could be
China.
like Sweden and let all them immigrants in.
And then you become the rape capital of the world.
Yeah, and homicides go up 80%
So,
in 2 years.
There you go. And so we've
These
got
the people we really want in our country.
Exactly. And now at the same time, Japan has a horrible economy crippled by debt. Saudi Arabia has a legal system and a religion that are both horrible, horrifying, disgusting, bad, bad, bad. I mean, Iceland is full of a bunch of beta new male cucks. I mean, so these all have problems. We're not saying ethnocentrism is the best idea. It's going to cure all ills. But you can't go and say it's wrong for these people, but it's okay for these people. It's logically inconsistent.
I think what he's really trying to say is we got to preserve American values and the system of governance that we're under.
Well, and it came from predominantly Europeans. And if you come from people who don't want that system, that's exactly right. And so there you go, our final defense after tearing him apart because the guy is an idiot. Of Richard Spencer. This is The Honest Media. I'm here with Craig Chrysler, and we'll see you again next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. I'm sorry if we triggered you. I don't think we did, but have a happy Thanksgiving.